Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel where we talk about the things we love like gaming, shows, and anime. The human Z fighters had their moments of shine in Dragon Ball, but there is one particular fighter who is still kicking ass till Dragon Ball Super, and that is Krillin. So I thought it was about time I made a list for this kick-ass Earthling. But before we begin, I'd like to give a shout out to Manibal Lecter, Anthony Beltran, Harley O'Sullivan, ITTZ Andrew, and Mackenzie Newell. Hope I'm saying that correctly, but thank you guys for the love and support. Now, let's begin. Number 10, Krillin vs. Chaozu. This was Chaozu's first time fighting, and his opponent was Krillin, who apparently seemed to be at the same height. Krillin may not have grown up much, but Chaozu seemed to never really age. Anyways, the fight between these two was actually pretty intense, and it was even the first time we see a Z fighter float in the air without any assistance from an object like the Flying Nimbus, or a Ki Blast or Kamehameha Blast from the ground. Also, this was Krillin's first time performing the Kamehameha. The outcome was great, and for these two little bald guys, they definitely proved to have some unique skills at such a young age. Number 9, Krillin vs. Bacteria. Bacteria is one of the worst characters you would ever want to take on. His name is Bacteria, for crying out loud. This guy is full of shit. He smells horrible, and Krillin had to take this guy on while holding his breath most of the time. Not an easy task if you have to concentrate and dodge this giant guy's moves. But when he does manage to grab Krillin, it gets worse from there. At one point he even sits on him and sharts. I say sharts because there's a chance this guy never wipes. Poor Krillin. You know he was super pissed off at this guy, even though he becomes victorious in the end, because he does get him back by farting on him as well. Number 8. Krillin takes out most Cybermen. The Cybermen were said to have about the same power level as Raditz, so at the time taking them on was no easy task. I mean, one false move and these guys could take you down with the acid they shoot out of their heads, or they'll grab onto you and self-destruct. They managed to take down Yamcha when he was caught off guard. But once that happened, this ticked Krillin off, making him pull off one pretty badass special move that targeted multiple Cybermen, including Nappa and Vegeta. Krillin took down more than one Cyberman with this move, putting the Z fighters back on track against the Saiyans. Number 7, Krillin vs. Frieza's Henchmen. I can't wait to see what Krillin does this time against Frieza's henchmen in Dragon Ball Super. Cause in the movie of Resurrection of Frieza, Krillin rocked the shit out of those henchmen, including the other Z fighters, but the fact that he still got what it takes shows us that Krillin has not been slacking off. The world may have Goku and Vegeta as Saiyan gods, but chances are they will be off in other worlds taking on other god opponents, while Krillin and the rest of the Z fighters protect the Earth. Number 6. Krillin saves Dende twice. On Namek, Frieza and his henchmen, including his personal bodyguards Zarbon and Dodoria, were taking a Dragon Ball from innocent Namekians. They were completely helpless even though Gohan and Krillin were watching from a distance. But even though they knew they couldn't take them on, they went for it, and they managed to knock out Dodoria when he was about to kill Dende. Gohan jumped in, knocked him out into a house, and after he recovered, Krillin jumped in and kicked Dodoria again while he was caught off guard. Krillin and Gohan escaped with Dende, and Dodoria did chase after them, but once he managed to catch up, luckily Krillin hit him with his bald head and then used the solar flare to temporarily blind him and make them escape for good. Then the second time he saved Dende was when Frieza transformed into his second form and charged at Dende. But Krillin threw him out of the way and took the hit. I hope Krillin tells his wife about all the brave things he's done, because a lot of DBZ fans seem to forget about all the heroic choices this guy makes. Number 5. Krillin vs. Nappa. Nappa is one of the toughest villains the Z fighters ever faced off against, and in my opinion this was Krillin's finest moment because his friends were getting killed off one by one. Although that was going on, he did not lose hope. Nor was he ever afraid throughout the fight. At one point, he even teamed up with Piccolo, the guy who he used to fear a lot. Krillin took down most of the Cybermen, and he would have even killed Nappa if Vegeta didn't interfere and tell him to dodge the Destructo Disc. Imagine that. Number 4. Krillin vs. Imperfect Cell. Imperfect Cell was too much to handle for the Z Fighters, except for Piccolo. He was kicking ass at that point. But Krillin, on the other hand, was no longer able to put up a fight against the oncoming threat. So the moment there was a girl and her mother in danger from Cell, it was a moment that should have been ignored, but not for Krillin. He doesn't care how strong the opponent is when there's a damsel in distress. He will overcome the opponent somehow, which he did. He managed to rescue them and not get killed. Way to go, Krillin. Number 3. Krillin spares Vegeta's life. As I mentioned on the list, the fight against Nappa and Vegeta was Krillin's finest hour, and this was another great moment. Vegeta realized his best option was to retreat, but then Krillin got back up, grabbed Yajirobe's sword, and walked up to Vegeta to finish him off. The moment he was about to avenge his fallen comrades, Goku spoke to him in his mind and told him to let him go. This could have gone either way. It was Krillin's choice, but in the end, he spared Vegeta's life. Vegeta should always remember this next time he talks down to Krillin. He owes him big time. Number 2. Krillin vs. Kid Goku. This was one of the best fights in Dragon Ball. We always knew that Goku was stronger than Krillin, but they both did take the same training from Master Roshi and continued training afterwards. So we were pretty sure that this would have been somewhat of an even match. Somewhat. The fight was really interesting. They pulled off some great moves, and every time I see this fight, I just want to bust out with that Game Boy Advance game of Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure. It's the closest thing to reenacting this fight. And who wouldn't want to? It's so cool. At one point, Krillin uses his head to blind Goku with the reflection of the sun. Then there's also a move I was not expecting to see, which is Krillin inflating himself in mid-air to dodge Goku's attack. He should be able to do that in games. But anyways, if you haven't seen this fight, I highly recommend you to watch it after the video. Number 1. Krillin's got game. The most impressive thing about Krillin is not his martial arts skills or how far he has come since the first appearance he had in Dragon Ball, but the fact that he's got game. Mad game. Krillin got with 2 of the hottest chicks in the series, Marin and Android 18. Marin may have been somewhat of a hoe, but in the end, who got with her? Krillin. Then Android 18 appeared as one of the biggest threats on Earth, and who knocked her up? Friggin' Krillin! And he called his daughter Marin for some reason. I wonder if 18 ever questioned why he named her Marin, assuming he chose the name. If not, then 18 chose the name and he just went with it. Now, as you all know, 18 is possibly the hottest babe in Dragon Ball Z, so out of all the Z fighters I hooked up, he got the best looking one of them all. Team 4-Star might want to deduct all the points off of Krillin getting owned, because in the end, he owned that booty. That's it for the top 10 list. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, put a thumbs up. And if there are any other videos you would love to request, please let me know in the comments. Also, if you want to shout out a video request or you want to ask me a question for the next Q&A video, I strongly recommend you post it on my Facebook page. And if you want to see more of my videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. And I'll be sure to let you know when I post up more videos. This is Score saying, have an awesome day.